Good morning. Welcome back to another day in the life of a marketing manager. It's Monday, which means it's the start of a new week, which means we are resetting and getting ready for the week. I actually had a really early call this morning, hence why I already have makeup on. But now that the call is over, I'm just going through my agenda from last week and just seeing like what tasks and stuff that I haven't done yet. I'm still using my amazing papier planner. I'm just in love with the design of this planner, and actually the layout has been working for me really well. I usually just use Notion to keep track of all my tasks, but I think having sort of this like day schedule really does help. I just want to go through and see if there's any tasks last week that I didn't quite finish that I can move over to this week, and then sort of match that to anything that is outstanding in Notion and sort of just plan out my entire week. I usually do this day by day, but I think today I would like to just go through and have a rough idea of everything that's going on in the week. That way it's just a little easier to prioritize and make sure I don't get caught off guard with any tasks. So let's do that for a little while. So for today, I'm still working on that messaging map. I want to get started on the documentation for timing and logic as well. Okay, I got changed so I don't look like a slob in the next couple of meetings. So I went through my planner and Notion and I figured out what I need to get done today. I'm currently working on a message map, something that just helps to visualize all the messaging and communication that we have going out between emails, push notifications, pop-ups, banners, and any other format that we have that are related to our apps. I actually sent that over to my team after the first meeting for them to review, and they've left some comments. So I just want to build out that map a little bit more so that we can have a more in-depth conversation with our developer about it, because he's going to be the one helping us implement it. I also need to do some testing in Google Analytics 4 today. We've moved over to Google Analytics 4 and we've been implementing more and more events that we should be tracking that would be really beneficial for both sales, for marketing, but just for our company growth in general. A developer has helped us implement some new events, so I just want to make sure that I test those through, that the numbers that they're pulling is really accurate, and I'll create a little testing doc for that so that I can submit that to the Jira ticket so that if there are any changes that need to be made, it's super organized and they know to do that. There's a few other things that I need to do today, which are finish up a blog post. We do have some product updates coming up that are really exciting, so I'm writing some blog posts for that. I need to find imagery for that, and I need to look into branch.io, which is a app analytics service that we are considering using. It was recommended to us by some contractors that we have. So I just want to look into that, what the difference is between that and an old app that we used to use, which is AppTweak. So those are the three main tasks that I have today to do. I do have some other work that I need to check over from other teammates. So I've listed that under like nice to haves. So the three priorities are the message map, going over GA4, and I think the blog post. Branch.io I'll look into sort of during my break and as the day goes on. It's not really like a full task, I just want to do some research myself so I know what it is all about. All right, I think we should just go ahead and get started. I have the message map open in front of me already because I was submitting that to the team earlier. So I'm just going to go through all of their comments, make sure that it all looks good, and see if I can build it out anywhere else before I send it over to our dev for him to look over. Second meeting of the day, let's get this done. I mentioned this in the last day in the life of a marketing video, which I'll put here and in the description if you guys want to go watch that after this video. But documentation is something that I'm really working on perfecting for this year. And I think this is a great start to what documentation could look like instead of just like a boring Excel sheet or doc. I'll probably spruce this up a little bit more and then we can move on to finishing up my blog post. Okay, a bit dark, but it's so that you can actually see my screen. But I wanted to show you what it looks like when I do a messaging map. This is sort of new to us, but I really wanted a nice visual way that you can see everything that we have planned. I'm not going to dive into what each of the messaging actually is, just because we're still working on it, so I don't want to be like giving away our whole messaging system. But this is sort of what it looks like as a whole. I am definitely still working on the visuals a little bit, but you can see that I've sort of color-coded things as well as kept them in different shapes so you can really easily tell what is what. So we have banners, pop-ups, emails, things that go in our news section, and then push notifications. And then when we want multiple different messages going out at the same time, I just align them straight up and down, and then I connect them with a line. That way it's really easy to tell, okay, these are the same messages, but we want to release the messaging in all the formats that we can to maximize the reach and the awareness. I wrapped up my blog post. I did send it over to the team for review, so hopefully they get back to me today with any edits so that I can get this live ASAP. There's one thing that I kind of dread doing every time I write a blog post. It's never the writing. It's actually looking for visuals for the blog post. Looking for stock images can be so difficult. If you've looked for stock images before, you'll know there is some questionable content out there. Some very outdated content that probably shouldn't be on the internet anymore. That brings us to today's video sponsor, which is Stocksy. Stocksy United is this super cool artist-owned company that licenses out images, videos, illustrations for you to use in your creative projects. My favorite thing about Stocksy is that their content is actually amazing because it's artist-owned and they're really trying to promote fair pay and fair work for creators. There are a ton of amazing creators who license out their media on Stocksy. We have been in need of something like this for so long. I think there's this stereotype now of like stocky images, especially in the creative world, because it's that like, you know, those images where it feels like it was shot in like the early 2000s and it's like someone like dramatically falling, and it just doesn't make sense in today's modern day content. Stocksy absolutely solves that for me. They have just the most beautiful imagery and stock videos as well. So let's go through their website and look for some images for this blog post. So this is what the Stocksy homepage looks like. This automatically drew my eye to it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. The colors of this collection, incredible. But do you know what I mean? Like, this content feels so organic and it just feels like it's been made by creators in the modern day. The blog post that I'm writing today is about digital payments, so let's see what they have for digital payments. Wow, gorge. This is pretty much exactly what I was looking for. This is really, really cool. Ooh, I love this. The lighting in that is amazing. I feel like the imagery here just speaks to a younger audience, and that works so well for our brand specifically. Stocksy has definitely made my life so much easier when it comes to finding visuals for my creative projects. So a huge thank you to them for sponsoring this portion of the video. And of course, if you've been looking for images, videos, or illustrations to use in your next project, make sure to go to the link in my description and check them out. I think I'm gonna use that illustration for my blog post. I'm gonna go ahead and purchase that stock image and wrap up this blog post. I don't have comments from my team yet, so I'm just gonna get it all prepared in WordPress. That way it'll be super easy for me to edit and post once I get their feedback. Today was meeting heavy, but I'm hopping on to my last call of the day, so let's get this one over with. Okay, I had some lunch and then I came back and I got the feedback for the blog post. So I just spent some time going over that feedback and just making sure that I made all the necessary changes within like the WordPress that I created. And then I scheduled it to go live for tomorrow morning, just because it is the afternoon now. Nobody wants to read a blog post in the afternoon. So we scheduled it for the morning tomorrow. It is slowly starting to get dark now. I'm surrounded by mountains, so even though the sun is technically not supposed to set for another like hour and a half, so I'm actually going to take a quick break, take Mika out for a walk, and then I'll come back to do the last task of the day, which is to go over GA4 and just make sure that all the events work. Plus I need a little break just to digest my food and also to be away from the screens. My eyes are starting to hurt a little bit. So we're going on a little walkies. We're back from the walk and I want to start testing now because I want to wrap today up. I just started Venko and I am so obsessed and I just want to keep reading. So that is what I am working towards. That's my motivation for today. J4 has been such a challenge, not because it has been particularly hard to learn, like the learning curve. I mean, the learning curve is a little bit steep. It's just so different from Google Analytics. You would expect a product that replaces another product to follow some sort of similar structure. And for the most part, it does, but there are so many aspects about it that are also so different. So it's definitely been a little bit of a challenge for us to figure out all the best ways to use GA4 and get the same results that we used to get from Universal Analytics. GA4 has simplified a lot of things, but in turn, that simplification has almost made it more difficult to extract certain aspects of data. And maybe it's because in their eyes that those specific pieces of data aren't as pertinent as maybe some of the other ones that they surface more often. But we also have been using like that data set for so long that we still require that data now, and it just requires a little bit of extra digging, which I feel like defeats the purpose of GA4, but who am I to say? So one thing that is really different is that instead of using the real-time reports to test, they actually have a debug mode now for you to test with, which I do think has its pros and cons, I would say. It is a little bit more complicated than just testing with real-time, but I will say maybe it is more accurate, so that's good. So I created a Google Sheets doc with some events that we wanted to add to our GA4, and I sent that to my developer quite a while ago. He actually got it all done, but it's taken me a while to go through and test things. Certain things I needed help QAing, certain things I had a lot of questions about because the numbers weren't matching up perfectly with some of the other systems that we have and that we use to track data. But some of the events that I've asked him to add, and maybe this will be helpful if you are just starting out with GA4 and you're trying to figure out what to track with your, well, we run a tech/software company, so this does apply kind of specifically to apps, software, SaaS companies. But if you do run maybe like an e-commerce or a blog or some other type of business online, this may be helpful as well. So I'm just gonna share some of the events that I've requested. So user sign up for sure is one, new subscription purchase, cancel subscription, trial start, which for us is separate to user sign up, but maybe for you, if you have a simpler sort of onboarding flow, user sign up and trial start sort of works as one. We do have various call to action buttons on our website that trigger certain events. So when you look at this, there's actually two distinct parts that needs to be worked on, two different teams. On the app side, so like the user sign up, new subscription purchase, those events, that actually goes to our software developers. And then on the website side, where the users go from the marketing site or our website to in-app, so all the call to action buttons on the website for them to purchase, for them to sign up, that ends up being a task for our web developer. I know it gets a little bit confusing because some of them really mean the same thing. Like if you click a button to create an account via our website, that means the user is signing up. And once the user signs up, it triggers the event on the app side. So there's that initial click to call to action. That gives us the information of, okay, which buttons are users using the most on our website? Maybe it's the color, maybe it's the font, maybe it's the font size, maybe it's the placement of the button that is making it work for us. And then the idea is for that data to follow the user from the website to our app. So it's like, okay, they clicked this call to action button. Did they actually complete the sign up? Did they actually purchase a subscription, etc., etc. So what I need to do now is go ahead and test through the flow of like clicking from the website to the app to signing up to purchasing a subscription and just seeing if all the events trigger properly. I am going to create a little testing documentation as I go just to take notes so that I can share it with the developer and let them know, okay, this is working exactly as intended, or this is working but something is going wrong in this part, or this event just isn't triggering properly, or the numbers aren't matching up. So this will definitely take me through to the end of the day because it does become a bit of a lengthy process. I kind of have to go through the flow in a couple of different ways to make sure that I am QAing all the different instances and ways that a user could go through the flow. So I'm gonna work on that now. If you have any questions about this, feel free to comment and I'll try my best to answer it. Okay, I am all done with my testing doc, with going through the flows. There's probably a couple more things that I want to go through tomorrow, but so I want to check in with our software developer tomorrow and just get a few questions answered so I can make sense of some of the clunkiness that I've been finding with the events. It is kind of hard to get a super accurate result in GA4 when you have somewhat of a complicated software, just because, you know, we have our software, we have our billing system, we have our payment system, and they all sort of talk to each other. And ideally, we'd be able to have this single source of truth where we can pull all of our data, but unfortunately at this point, we still get the most accurate data for specific things within the specific parts of our app. So like if I wanted really accurate billing information and the most up-to-date billing information, I still have to go into the billing partners dashboard that we use. There's a lot of little improvements that we can make to sort of create more interconnectivity between all the data, but it is a really big undertaking. Unless you're sort of considering these things right from the get-go, it does make it hard to like backtrack and build these things in. We've just made so many updates and changes to our system and like our base product, and there's been so many updates even with like the tools like Google Analytics that it has been a bit of a challenge just fitting it all together. So it's just a matter of continuing that and making sure that we are building and building towards the right steps. Okay, that is my workday all completed. I think I'm just gonna read for a bit before I figure out dinner. I had a late lunch today, so I'm not really quite hungry yet. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about today, make sure to leave it in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out Stocksy for all of your stock image, stock illustration, and stock video needs. They honestly have the best media, and I cannot wait to be using more of their media in our content and maybe even in some of my personal content, like in YouTube content, moving forward. But that's it. Make sure to go check out my Instagram if you want to see more of my content, and I've really been working hard on Patreon to release early access content as well as exclusive content, so make sure you go and check out my Patreon as well. I'll put all of the links to everything that I do in the description box below. But other than that, I hope you guys are having an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in my next video.